everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Reign of the Supermen Steel. And not only that, this is the Platinum Chase variant, sort of the all-steel version. There's a kind of interesting story how I got this. Now, I saw a post on Instagram by Legendztoys. It's a toy website based off of California. And they said they're going to be posting a few Platinum figures at so-and-so date and so-and-so time. And so I thought, okay, let's check this out. I set an alarm, and honestly, I was at work. I totally forgot about it. About an hour later, I was like, oh shit. So bam, I went onto their website, and they still had the Platinum Steel. That was the only thing I was looking for, as I'm fully caught up my Platinum figures, except for this brand new one. So it was $24. Hurry, added to cart, $7 shipping, bam, checked out. And then I told a couple of my buddies looking for him. Of course, they told me it's sold out, so I guess I got the last one. And then unfortunately, I realized the website had Nightwing in stock. And I emailed them. I thought, couldn't hurt to ask. I said, hey, is there any chance you guys might be able to add Nightwing to the order? That way I don't have to pay for shipping twice. Because I didn't really want to buy Nightwing and pay another $7 on top of that, where I could have combined them together. They replied pretty quickly, and someone else, VP, had purchased Nightwing and bought the last one. And they said, we apologize, somebody else bought the Nightwing figure, but for the convenience, we're going to refund you the shipping and ship the steel figure for free. And I was like, well, that's not necessary, but right on. So I'll tell you, that website is on my radar. Apparently they had the Smiling Superman had already sold out, so it looks like they get some McFarlane figures pretty early. I'll be keeping a good eye on them, and if they're going to be separating the Platinum figures for a very fair price, hell yes. I ended up getting this guy for $24 after shipping and taxes. That is less than I paid for the regular steel for the McFarlane toy store. That thing was $22.99 plus, I don't know, $7, $8 shipping, whatever. I actually got the Platinum Chase variant of a brand new McFarlane figure for cheaper than the regular version. I got this guy basically for retail right at my doorstep. That's pretty damn cool. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see at the top, 22 moving parts, McFarlane Toys, ages 12 plus, DC Multiverse Steel, part of the McFarlane Platinum Edition collection. Here he is in the package. He's got his signature hammer, display stand, and a collector's card. One side of the package, steel from Reign of the Supermen. Other side, steel. At the bottom, there's his barcode if that helps anybody, but it's the same barcode as the regular version of steel. And in the back, here he is posed up. Now, the body on the back looks more like the Platinum figure, but he has the red cape from the regular. So no further ado, let's open him up. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out. He has a display stand, a collector's card, and then his signature hammer. But before we take a look at all that, let's talk about and check out the figure. So this is Steel. His real name is John Henry Irons. When Superman died in the Death and Return of Superman, he took it upon himself to build the suit of steel, which is kind of like an Iron Man suit, and defend the city of Metropolis. And since then, he's been a Superman ally. This is the Platinum Chase version, kind of like an all-steel version of Steel, and yeah, it's kind of cool. I do think I actually prefer the regular one with the red cape, but we'll compare them here in just a little bit. So let's take a look at them. Starting with his head here. It's very sort of bland looking, plain. I don't mean that as a negative thing. It's just it's a suit of armor. It's kind of like a mannequin. You have the ears there. You can see all the bolts sort of across the top. You can tell this guy made this in a steel factory. The eyes are totally white, kind of dark around them. He's got the Superman logo on his chest, and there is some dings in the armor sort of between the Superman logo. I like that. A little attention to detail. Shoulder armor. He's got, I believe, this is a blaster on one of his hands. Double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. Pretty good looking figure. This one has the tiniest bit of that blue stuff on it. My main steel has a lot more than this guy, and still don't fully understand it. I guess it's like imperfections in the metal, blue steel, whatever. It just looks like mistakes at the factory to me. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, you can see some of that blue stuff on his neck. Now for his accessories, starting off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. It's a typical McFarlane stand we've seen a million times before. It's a black circle, very thin, very basic. Now let's look at his collector's card. As you can see, it's an image of Steel standing post up. The body looks similar to this figure, but he has the red cape. Steel from Reign of the Supermen. On the backside there is a description. If you want to read that, pause now. And I'm disappointed to say it's 100% identical to the regular version, both the Platinum Chase Collector's card and the original. There should be some little bit of difference. Here's his hammer. This almost looks like it's unpainted. At the top here, we have the hammer, and it has some scuffs on it, some bolts where it was put together, different sculpting, where he's going to hold it and where he's not. The hammer is described as weaponized and self-propelled. Here's the Platinum version of Steel's hammer next to the original version. Here's a look at Steel holding the hammer. Even though he only has one gripping hand, he looks best when he's holding with two hands. He needs a gripping hand to hold the bottom and the other hand to support it. It is extremely hard to get into his gripping hand. Just sort of pry the fingers open as best you can and slide it in there. I wanted to check out the differences between the Platinum Chase version of Steel and the original. And besides the obvious paint differences, it's 100% same figure, same sculpt, and same articulation. So let's take a look. Starting with their heads here. Now the metal is a little bit different than him. It has sort of a blue tint. His more gray. The eyes a little more dark around them versus this one. Obviously the capes are completely different color. Gray versus red. That is the biggest difference. And then even the Superman symbol, it's like a lot more worn and sort of realistic looking on this guy. It's a little more bland on this one. You know, a little sort of armor here and his blaster. It's on solid color, not painted nearly as well in that one. Although this guy has that blue stuff just all over him. Very distracting. And then of course the boot's a little bit different. Now we've taken a pretty good look at the figure and his accessories. Now for his height. From bottom to the top of his head, staying about 7.4 inches tall, which can translate to just under 19 centimeters. A little bigger than the average McFarlane DC Multiverse figure, and he should be in this armored suit. And now for his articulation. Now I recommend to give both the regular or the Platinum versions a hot water bath before using the articulation. There's a lot of stuff that I was able to free up and get more range out of. Starting with his head, he can rotate side to side. He can look up, not much, down about that far. Can't tilt his head from one side to the other. Shoulder pads are soft, they're going to move out of the way. Arms go out a good 90 degrees. Ball joint, up, down, around. He kind of has drop down shoulders, which is weird, but it's just because the ball joint, the butterfly joint is just such a wide open thing there. Butterfly joint, increase the range of motion and cover a large gap. Bicep cut below that. Double jointed elbow. His wrist can rotate, and it is hinged as well. Ball joint is torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one is waist, and that was totally stuck. Hot water helped. Rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion. I definitely get more out of the torso than the waist on this guy. Legs, complete to splits, McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is minimal. Legs go forward. Really not that much. You can kind of go to the side, get a little bit more. Back, not at all. Double jointed knees. And then his ankle. And that one doesn't do a lot either. It's ratcheted, you can hear that. Forward and back. Tiny bit of tilt rock. And of course, toe articulation. Doesn't really have rotation there. Here's a look at Steel busting through a concrete wall. The ruins of the Daily Planet around his feet. Death and return of Superman, indeed. The new protector of Metropolis. And here's a look at both versions of Steel in front of the ruins of the Daily Planet. Two versions of Steel. Fist bump to that. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures. Starting off with some other McFarlane Platinum Chase figures. Here he is, next to the first two Platinum Chase variants that McFarlane made. This is the all-bronze version of Batman and Joker from Arkham Asylum. The second set of Platinum Chase variants they made was the all-gold version of the Arkham Knight Batman and the Arkham Origins Deathstroke. The next set of Platinum Chase variants were from Injustice 2. We have Gorilla Grodd in the silver armor, and then Dr. Fate in a lighter blue, a little bit more comic accurate. I did get 3 of these Gorilla Grodd figures to use as Gorilla Grodd soldiers in his army, and then I used the gold Gorilla Grodd as Grodd himself. And then they made the goggles up version of Ben Affleck Batman from Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is the only Platinum Chase variant to have any sculpting differences in any way, shape, or form. At this point, McFarlane went a completely different direction with their Platinum Chase variants. They introduced the unpainted artist-proof figures, and personally, I was not a fan. I do like the Swamp Thing, and I wish I did Clayface like this, but most of these guys are just there. I get no joy out of them, and they're useless in my collection. I am a completist, so I'm going to track down each and every variant McFarlane makes, but to have to track these down, and sometimes pay a little extra for something I don't care about at all, that kind of sucks. People complained, and McFarlane finally course corrected, and I understand why. So you see a really cool looking Swamp Thing figure at Amazon or GameStop, and you order it, and you get this unpainted gray one. You're probably going to be disappointed. The average collector doesn't really want these things. And after that, they went back to regular paint variations, and I'm happy they did. I'm really liking the platinum variations they've been making lately. Their first assortment was a darker version of the Jay Garrick Flash, kind of based off the CW show, and then a Superpowers repaint Mr. Freeze, and an all-gray Nightfall Catwoman. Then they released the Page Puncher fighting the frozen Batgirl. This paint variation looks a lot better than the original. Next, they made a Platinum Chase variant, Super Friends version of the Riddler. And after that, they released a Tarte exclusive gold label, darker version of Supergirl, kind of based off the CW show. And the last two Platinum Chase variants from regular line figures was the Jim Gordon Batman and the Injustice 2 Brainiac. And then finally we have Steel. Then they started the McFarlane Collector's Edition line, and each and every one of those figures has had a Platinum Chase variant, and it appears to be continuing that way. Here he is next to the Platinum Chase variants of Wave 1. First appearance Superman, The Abyss, and Alan Scott Green Lantern. Then, with the second wave of Collector's Edition Platinum Chase variants, Firestorm, Hawkman, and Sinestro. Here he is with the third wave of Collector's Edition figures, Platinum Chase variants of Captain Carrot, Superman, and Batman as Green Lantern. And then here's Steel, next to the Platinum Chase variant of the McFarlane Collector's Edition Wonder Woman. Here are all of the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum Chase variants. I have all of them, and I have all the Batman-related characters unopened as well. There are a total of 39 of them so far, and it's been confirmed that we're going to be getting a Platinum Chase variant of the single release of Catwoman for the Dark Knight Rises. We saw one that Todd had in a Whatnot video he did. And then the next wave of Collector's Edition figures is going to be Captain Boomerang, Penguin, and Starfire, and it's confirmed they're all going to get Platinum Chase variants. Now, a lot of the other lines do Platinum Chase variants as well, and I have all of them I want, except for I'm still looking to get 2 Lord Deathman figures from the 1966 line. Just can't seem to get a break on that guy, can't find him anywhere for a reasonable price. And then the newest wave from the 70s cartoon has a Platinum Chase Batgirl. I'm looking for 2 of those as well. Here's Steel, next to the Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack Superman, which I originally thought was the death of Superman, but I believe it's actually from a Rebirth Encounter versus Doomsday. And here he is, next to the Return of Superman figure, which looks nothing like Superman did in the Return of Superman except for the mullet. The body is way too big. It is accurate to other versions of Superman from the 90s, but not the one it's labeled as. Here he is, next to the Eradicator and the Con-El Superboy. Now, all 3 of these guys are from the reign of Supermen, but the other 2 are different versions. I do expect in the future McFarlane to release the Eradicator and the Superboy from Reign of Supermen, but these guys are from more recent incarnations. Here are all the different various Superman family members McFarlane has made. These are from different eras. We have the John Kent Superman, although I personally use this as Superboy. Then we have Supergirl, and then Steel, then the Con-El or Connor Superboy, and then of course Crypto the Superdog. Now there are a bunch of other Superman supporting characters that they haven't made, and they probably eventually will. And here, next to several more Superman figures, we have the Action Comics 1000 Superman, the Hush Superman, the Page Puncher Superman, and the Henry Cavill Superman. Now let's check him out, next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to Lobo from the Amazon exclusive Deluxe Space Hog set. Here's Steel, next to some recent Tarte exclusive Jokerized stuff. And here he is, next to some more Tarte exclusive figures. We have Red Tornado, Animal Man, Midnighter, and Wave Rider. Then, with some recent Walmart exclusive gold label figures, Black Lightning, Owlman, then the Vampire Damian Wayne and Hal Jordan. And now, next to both the regular and the Platinum Chase variant of the Collector's Edition Wonder Woman, here's Steel, next to McFarlane Collector's Edition Wave 3, both the regular and Platinum Chase variants of Captain Carrot, Superman, and Batman as Green Lantern. And here he is, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive Black and White accent Aquaman and Joker. Then, next to the McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Sketch, Line Art Black Manta, Deadly Duo Joker, patina variant of Merciless, and the Heath Ledger Interrogation Room Joker. And now, next to the Batman and Robin movie wave, collect a build and Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze. Then, next to the Target exclusive Flashpoint wave, collect a build of Cyborg. And now, with the Injustice 2 Superman, and both versions of Brainiac. And finally, with the Dark Knights of Steel Batman, and both versions of the Jim Gordon Batman. Now let's check them out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how it fits in both scale and style-wise, in case you know which lines you can mix them with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start with my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Here's Steel, next to some Jack-specific wrestling figures, and some DST or Diamond Select toys. And here, next to a packet of oatmeal. Then, next to some DC Direct, and some NECA figures. Next, with both some Mattel and Jazzwares wrestling figures. Next, with some Mezco and Mattel DC figures. Then, with some Mafex and Hasbro Marvel Legends. And finally, next to some SH Figure Arts and some Jazzwares Fortnite. So overall, it's a pretty cool Steel variant. The original version of the Steel figure I think is awesome. His articulation is a little bit limited in some areas, and then his legs are missing some of the sort of armored detail around the sort of thigh area or the top of the leg. Beyond that, I like him. Legs maybe just a little bit thin, but it's a really good looking figure. And the Platinum Chase variant, I think it looks pretty cool too. It's like sort of an all-steel version of Steel, and it makes kind of sense. You could even put this with your unpainted artist proof figures if you wanted to. He kind of blends in with them. Happy to finally be fully caught up on my McFarlane DC Multiverse Platinum figures, at least for the moment. If I were to rate this figure, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I do like the regular one better than this, but it's a pretty cool variant. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.